Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Wargames Geek. So what I'm doing this week then is I'm finishing off the Viking longship, and I talked in the last video about the shields. So these are the shields that have been primed, and so basically the idea is I'm going to put those in place on top of the sort of shields that were fixed to the boat, which I'd sanded down, and as I say, all that's in the previous video. If you haven't seen it, please do have a look. And then what I've done is I've got some transfers, and some of them are free-handed, and I've now put those onto the boat. And then the next stage is to paint the underside of the shields. I've got two, as you can see, on the other side of the boat to finish off. And where I've used the super glue, it's actually misted the paint a little bit, so I'm going to touch that up as well. So you can just see that there on the sort of other side of the ship. So one side's done, the other side's a sort of work in progress, which I'll get done, and then the transfers, as you can see there inside the boat, in the hull of the boat there, ready to be fixed to the actual shield faces. So moving on then, what I've done now is I've finished both sides of the boat. The transfers are done, and as I say, some of these have been free-handed and some of them are transfers. So on the other side there, the plain ones, the nice easy ones, the white one and the blue one at the end there, they're the ones I hand-painted. And the red and yellow one is hand painted as well, but the rest are all transfers. And the reason I've done that was because I didn't quite have enough left over, so rather than buying some more, I decided to do a bit of freehand stuff, but kept it really nice and simple for myself to do them. So that's the boat now sort of finished, and then I'm moving on to do the 10 herdmen that I showed you in the last video. So they've all been primed with plate mail metal. And I was umming and ahhing about whether to base them, not to base them, whether I was going to glue them into the boat and use it as a diorama. And I've settled on I'm going to base them on 25mm circular bases, and I'll use those for perhaps some Saga or some other sort of skirmish type Dark Ages Wargaming. So that's the figure ready for paint. So let's crack on then. So the first thing I'm doing is I'm painting in the skin. And I normally go for like a barbarian flesh type colour, but because these are Vikings from Scandinavia, sort of fair hair and fair skin, I've gone for elven flesh for the skin colour on these 10 figures. So what I'm doing is I'm going to show you how I painted one of them, and I'll just put the others on the table at the end so you can see them all done. So just taking my time here, just trying to avoid the metal area of the helmet that he's wearing. Not too worried about getting it onto the beard because I can paint that afterwards. So once that's done, I'm going to go on and do both of the hands. I'm at the moment just concentrating on this little eye area here. Just getting it underneath the sort of rim of the helmet, if you like, and then just getting it onto both hands. So what I'm doing here is, as I say, I've just gone on ahead slightly, so the hands are done. And the reason I've used this plate mail metal is because of the amount of chainmail. Oh, throwing him around again. The amount of chainmail that he's wearing there, so saves me an awful lot of time on that. And there's a fair bit of metal, obviously the helmet and the tip of his spear as well. So just an easier thing to do is to prime it with the colour and then just pick out the other stuff just to save myself some time. So what I've done there then is I've just gone ahead slightly. I've just painted in his beard and his hair in desert yellow. And what I've done is I've left the shield off. All of the figures will have shields, but I've left that off. I just find it a little bit easier to paint it separately and put it on afterwards. And then what I'm doing now is he's got this sort of tunic underneath his chainmail, and so I'm doing that in demonic yellow. And so that's you can see that on both arms, and it comes out from the bottom of the chainmail as well. So just trying to take my time to avoid getting it onto the actual metal areas that I don't need to paint those over again. And so there we are, that's the tunic all done in the desert yellow, and he's already starting to take shape there. So the next thing in, he's got a sort of necklace thing going on, and what I'm doing is I'm using skeleton bone on that just to pick out this sort of off-white pendant around his neck, which I'm just assuming is a kind of bone. I mean, it could have been something made of wood or something similar. So that's that. And then I'm using leather brown for the sort of strap of the necklace, the actual necklace bit itself. So I'll be using leather brown for that. I'm just taking my time there, just really trying to avoid getting it onto the chainmail if I can help it. And I'll also be using it on that strap that's going diagonally across his chest as well. So just taking my time in there. And try not to drop the figure whilst this sort of delicate area, and trying to show you what I'm doing at the same time, so a bit of a juggle there. So there we are, so that's that bit. The thumb's in the way, so just come around the other side so that the thumb's out the way for you. So there we are, just very gently, very carefully, trying to not get it onto the chainmail. If I do, I just have to touch it up. And I've mentioned before that the Army Painter primers are an exact match. The colour primers are an exact match for the bottled paints as well. So if you do make a mistake, it's not a major problem, and they do match exactly what's in the bottles. So just turning him upside down just to sort of make it work for myself. So that's that bit, just a bit to the side of his neck there. I've got a very fine detail brush here, just getting into that bit of necklace there. Okay, so that's that bit done. And then I'm going to move on and just making sure everything's okay. Haven't missed anything. No, it looks good. Okay, so it's got this strap going diagonally across his chest. I'm using the same colour for that, so it's that leather brown, and just coming across the chest, and I'm going to do it round just underneath the arm as well, so it's just very carefully under there, and I'm using it on the belt as well, so all of that will be in leather brown, the whole lot. Okay, so that's it done. That's the front of it, and I'll just turn him around for you so you can see the back. So that's his all the sort of leather work and the necklace now all done. So I'll just show you around the figure there, and that's where we're at now at the moment. So the next stage then is to start painting in the trousers, and for the trousers I'm going to use army green. Now you'll see that I've just painted the shoes in as well. What I've done was I just went on and done those in monster brown, just a sort of different shade from the belt and the necklace sort of that I'd painted in previously. So your army green on the trousers. Just taking my time, try not to make any sort of mistakes there, going up against the yellow, and of course at the bottom there we're trying to avoid touching onto the shoes as well. But as I say, if we do make a mistake, we just have to go back over it and touch it back up again. So that's how that works. So not a major problem if we do it, but try and avoid it if we can. So that's that. Just turn around and do the front of the shin. I'm just going to come in and underneath the spear there. So it's a bit fiddly, but it's manageable. It's just a bit fiddly trying to show you on the camera at the same time. So that's one leg done, and then we'll go ahead and do the other, and then we'll start working on painting in the shaft of his spear there. So that's the other leg done, and what I've done at this stage, I just left him to dry for a little while because I don't want to be sort of touching the figure too much whilst I'm trying to get other bits painted. So I let him dry a bit, and I cracked on with some of the other figures in the meantime. As I say, there's 10 of these all together, so just done a bit of that whilst letting the paint dry between doing the next sort of stage on each figure. So there we are, that's where we're at. And then the next thing is then I painted in the spear shaft, and for that I used the monster brown again. So I then brushed him with the quick shade strong tone dip. It's called a dip, but you can brush it on if you want to. I've started doing that actually more now. I used to just dip all the time, but I prefer to paint it on or brush it on now. It just seems that there's an awful lot less waste if you do it that way. So letting him dry, and then I've based him. I've then put his shield on, and I've just done a sort of my own design on the shield there, and he's now done. So just to show you around him, just a basic design on the shield, nothing too technical. And then what I'll do is I'll just go through the others and show you those as well. So this is the next one with his axe, and he's got a shield that, again, I've hand painted the pattern on that as well, just black, half and half, black and yellow. So that's him. And then moving on to the next chap, let's have a look what we've got next. We've got this chap here, which I've done in a red and white, sort of almost like a sun pattern on his shield. He's got a spear as well. So that's the third chap. And moving on to the next one, and that's this bloke here. I've just done him with a plain white shield, and again you can see the different sorts of colours I'm using there, so I'm not doing them all standard. This chap's got sort of a pair of bluish trousers on, and still got a sort of yellowy kind of cloak. But a lot of these are chainmail, so I've done all of them primed in the plate mail metal primer, and then just picked out the highlights for the different colours of the clothing that they're wearing. And then again, this one's got just a sort of 2/4 green and 2/4 white on his shield. Done another plain shield in red, and then there's as you can see, the shade's done a great job there of making it look weather worn. So that's that one. And then moving on to the next chap, again another plain shield, blue this time, and again just a nice sort of base coat of all these have just been base coated, one colour, one layer, and then dipped. So that's that one. So there we are, so that's those ones. There's another chap here now, he's got his shield slung over his back there, and just again another very simple shield design, just a half and half, yellow and white. These shields are pretty decent size as well. I'm quite pleased with how they look. I think they're quite a decent bunch of figures there. So as I say, all of these were hand painted shield designs. There's none of these are transfers because I've run out. So I just tried to keep it as simple as I can and stuff that's manageable. So I didn't do any sort of serpents or anything like that because I knew I'd bodge them up. But that's what I've done with them. A couple of plain white ones. Just pleased with how they've turned out, really. So yeah, as I said before, I did have a bit of a sort of dilemma whether I didn't base them and decided to use them as a diorama, but Wargaming's the way forward. So this is what they look like now. The longship has pulled up on the riverbank there, furled up his sail, and they are now dismounting, ready to attack any victims they come across as they come off the ships, any villages that need to be attacked, and so on and so forth, the usual Viking pillaging. So I'm really pleased with it, actually. I'd say for the whole lot, I think I'm in it for about £20, including the figures and everything else. So yeah, really, really pleased with it. So let's just come down to sort of ground level and just do a sort of sweep across there. I hope you've enjoyed the videos, both the videos. If you haven't seen the first one, please do go back and have a look. Please do like, subscribe, share the videos. And I've just been told about this little bell that you can, notifications bell. So if you're really interested, my videos will come up on your list. So please do follow the channel. And as always, thanks for watching.